Hi again, it's John Keogh coming to you from Huntington Beach in California. As I mentioned on Traceability Primer number 1, I'm down here for a couple of months, normally based in Toronto. So we've had some great conversations online about traceability, and I broke down some basic traceability in Primer number 1. In Primer number 2, I want to go through the drivers of traceability with you. Now let me share my screen. And here we go. So, for those who don't know me, I'm managing principal of Chantelet Inc. in Toronto. We're a niche firm looking at doing research for clients and also strategy advisory and other activities, primarily around supply chain and also digital transformation. And also a professor of practice at McGill University, Center for the Convergence of Health and Economics, where I'm researching agri-food ecosystems and digital agri-food ecosystems, I should say. So here's what I want to go through with you today. What are the drivers of food traceability? And I want to bring your attention into the center here. Normally we talk about who, what, when, why, and where. But based on your feedback, I've also added how much. And I think this is an important to add in here. And I got some great feedback from people like Peter Carter from GS1 Australia, Patrick Jonathan from GS1 Global Office, and Brian Bedard. Brian is a veterinarian, epidemiologist, former World Bank, and it was actually Brian that asked me to put in the how much into there. So why do we need traceability? What are the key drivers? So if I take your attention up to the top left-hand side here, we have, of course, compliance management. And standards like the GS1 standards are actually intended to help organizations implement regulations. So you have regulations and standards as well for food safety. If you go through the GFSI schemes, there are all requirements for traceability built in there. A lot of these organizations will be helped by looking at the ISO traceability guidelines and also the GS1 guidelines, and they find their way into the GFSI schemes. And of course, risk management for product safety. So if you have to do a recall or a withdrawal of a product, risk management is another driver for traceability. Product quality and certifications and claims management. Is it organic? Is it really from, that organization? Is it certified properly? Can we trace back those claims to the origin? But also the freshness of the product during its supply chain journey, and also cold chain monitoring. I think it was Patrick that emphasized that this is a critical need, especially in the food sector. And we know, of course, that consumers' demands are increasing across different countries. The demands will be different, but enhanced transparency is something we're all struggling with right now. And how do we do that? We know that transparency is an enabler of trust, but we also know that trust is an antecedent and an outcome of transparency. So somebody needs to take that first step. So winning over the hearts and minds of those producers to be able to share that information in the first place is one of the critical steps. And on the top right-hand side here, of course, we have global trade facilitation, which tries to enable interoperability between countries, between government agencies, or what we often call the competent authorities, the trading partner requirements, which may specify the information to be shared, and supply chain visibility, which is around process efficiency, and of course also interoperability. Now these three here are very important because governments do use the GS1 system of standards, and the SSCC, or the Serialized Shipping Container Code, is widely used around the world to facilitate traceability. Also in countries like China and New Zealand and many others, they're using the Global Trade Item Number to enable interoperability between the competent authority systems and industry systems. And down at the bottom on the right hand side, of course, for food provenance, the geographic source or origin, another reason why we need traceability. And in the middle, of course, Peter Carter was providing his inputs that, from the ESG factors, environmental, social, and governance, and the competitive advantage, brand protection, brand reputation, but also CSR and social license are coming up in more and more conversations as to why organizations need traceability in their organizations. And of course, traceability is a component of transparency, and that it helps to enhance trust, as I mentioned. So your feedback is always very welcome. Thank you so much for listening in, and let me know your comments. Thank you.